Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are from Group 7, KMA1 will be presented entitled Interest Profit Rate Hike vis-a-vis Bank's Profitability. This is our group members consists of Ivira Maisara Aslan, Muhammad Qayyum Sulaiman, next Muhammad Ikram Rosli, next me, Aiman Umar Razul Halim, Nur Khairia Muhammad Nazir, and also Nazrin Zohaila Muhammad Ruzi. The table of content is telling you our presentation outline. I will begin with the introduction. As the topics mentioned before, the relation is considered complex and also dynamic. Mary Hall stated this year that despite of the bank's profitability, during the interest rate hikes is actually the bank's capability to generate each of the dollar they invested. And so today, we will center the potential of pros and cons of the topic.
I will explain about why the net margin. Okay, firstly, the denominator of net interest margin, equation is the bank's total asset, which might fluctuate the way not represented as the numerator. The numerator equation is not net interest income, which is bank net interest margin may increase because interest rate rise and is earning more money in an environment in higher interest rate. However, net interest margin will decline because increased interest rate is a type of monetary tightening the rate of cost of borrowing. As a result, the demand of loan will decline and it lowering bank net interest margin. Okay, we go to the second, which is the depositor change their banking habit slowly after a rate increase. According to the economist John C. Driscoll, he's suggesting a certain level of rate insensitivity, which is the idea that rising rate could be lead to the biggest net interest margin is bolstered by still another argument. Bank normally aim to achieve a spread between the rate on their asset and liability when rates are above the zero lower bound. Okay, thirdly, about the bank are normally unable to pay negative interest rate on deposit, which is possible that during this period bank net interest margin will lower than normal because they were unable to lower the rate, the pay on deposit and other obligation to zero, which is the bank might be able to bring their spread back to the target raise interest rate through, which might mean that deposit rate rise more gradually than loan rate. Okay, lastly, about the correlationship between short-term interest rate and the net interest margin. The short-term interest rate raised in tandem with the net interest margin. The higher interest rate cause bank to increase lending rates and decrease loan volume. The impact on smaller institutions is greater, despite their analysis suggesting that flat term structure and lower short-term interest rate constrain earning. They believe that low interest rate they have positive net effect on profit due to their beneficial contribution on the business cycle.
The next pros is the increased loan demand. This is especially when the strong economy happen. It will increase the interest rate and also the application of the loan, and it will impact the bank's profit. And this is supported by the finance magnet staff, especially in this year. But somehow, the pros that I mentioned will actually lead to the shrinking of individual loans on their profit margin.
Next, we move to the reduced loan loss provision. So what happened if the bank reduce loan? Okay, first is impacts on bank's profit. Okay, so impacts on bank profit. First, it will improve a bank's short-term profitability by lowering the cost and risk associated with loans. Okay, second, if the bank cannot find profitable loan opportunities, there may be a compression of the net interest margin and it leads to affecting profitability. And the last one is impacts the bank's ability to maintain healthy interest rate spreads. Second, effects on borrowers. Okay, so what happened to the borrowers if the bank reduced the loan and lost the provision? Okay, first, it's more challenging for individuals and business to access credit. And second, higher borrowing costs can impact monthly payments, qualification for loans, and overall debt management for individuals and businesses. Third, impact on economic environment. Okay, so influence consumer. Okay, the impact of the economic environment will influence consumer spending and business investment, leading to a slowdown in economic activity. and it may result in job losses or slower the job creation, and it will affecting sectors heavily reliant on loans. And last one is strategic risk management. So what happened? It will aligning them with regulatory guidelines. And the last one is balancing risk management practices is essential to maintain financial stability and meet regulatory requirements. Okay, that's of the effects of the reduced loan and loss provision.
So we move to the cons, which is the slow deposit rate. It refers to the delayed adjustment of interest rates on deposit offered by banks, such as savings account and fixed deposit, in response to shifts in the broader interest rate environments. So the financial institutions are compelled to adjust their interest rate when central banks or market force signal an increase in interest rate. Next, as Shahina said in 2015, the profitability are to demonstrate the ability of a company to generate profits. So the profitability ratio describes a bank's ability to increase profit through all available capabilities and sources, allowing the bank's level of business efficiency and profit to be measured. So we move to the second. So the first point, the impact of slow deposit rate adjustment on bank profitability is intricately tied to the fluctuation of the business cycle. So during periods of the economic expansion, central banks often raise interest rate to curb inflation. Next, the delay in reducing the cost of funds in line with lower interest rates may compress the NIM, potentially affecting profitability. So the impact extends to the recovery and recursion phase, where the pace of deposit rate adjustment influences a bank's ability to capitalize on changing interest rate environments. So, based on these two articles, the pace at which deposit rates adjust holds paramount importance in the context of interest rate hike and their impacts on the bank's profitability. Net interest margin, a key metric in assessing a bank financial health, is particularly sensitive to the speed of deposit rate adjustment.
Next, we go further to the next part, which is high borrowing cost. High borrowing cost is the increase in the policy rate set by the central bank, which affect the lending and deposit rate of bank. High borrowing costs can have positive or negative effect on the profitability of bank. Depends on two factors, which is rate adjustment or also demand elasticity. Rate adjustment are the changes in the lending and deposit rate that banks make in response to the policy rate changes. Banks with market dominance tend to adjust the deposit rate more slowly than lending rate, which can increase their net interest income in the short run. Demand elasticity is the responsiveness of the demand for deposit and loan to changes in interest rate. Higher rate can reduce the bank's earnings if consumers choose to borrow less and save more, or vice versa. The impact of demand elasticity depends on the overall economic condition and the preference of the public. Another factor that affects the net interest income of bank is the accounting procedure for loan losses. Bank add an interest margin to loan that account for expected loss, but these losses are only recognized when they occur. This can create the temporary boost in the profit when lending increase, but also delay decline when loan turn into the bad debt.
In this context of economic slowdown, which is generally characterized by a decline in economic activity and growth, the nation of interest rate hike and they influence the bank profit direct type. When interest rate rise, it can have variety effect on bank profitability. Okay, based on the article, bank-specific, industry-specific, and macroeconomic determinant of bank profitability. This article has shown how the financial market structure and challenge to market influence are the primary determinant of bank profitability, with little attention given to other bank-specific issues and complete disregard for macroeconomic effect. Among the determinant of economic profit is inflation. For determinant of spot and forward interest rate in Brazil in an international liquidity scenario. According to this article, the key monetary policy instrument is base interest rate, which is generated by the influence imposed on the economy. In general, high interest rate diminish aggregate demand, slow the economy, and lower inflation, whereas low interest rates stimulate aggregate demand, entrench the economy, and put pressure on the inflation.
Conclusion is an increase in interest rates, which promotes broader net margin, is motivated by the possibility of an increase in interest income as the cost of borrowing rises. So second, a slower deposit rate as a result of increased interest rates may limit the flow of cash into banks, hence affecting liquidity concurrently rising borrowing prices of a hurdle, potentially limiting lending capacity and compressing the net interest margin. So that's all from us. Thank you.